I think with our little secret, we're going to do really well with the House, right? Our little secret is having a big impact. He and I have a secret. We'll tell you what it is when the race is over.
Yeah, that's hardly what anyone wants to hear coming out of Donald Trump, that he has some sort of secret with another prominent politician that's going to give them control of the House. It's possible, you throw something like that just out to troll the other side, who are a little bit burned following the fake elector scheme and January 6th and all that. In this case, they would have you believe there is an innocent explanation to the little secret that Donald Trump is talking about there. So that's at his rally this weekend. Some people thought he might be pointing at Matt Gaetz. It turns out, no, he's speaking about Mike Johnson, which initially, when you hear that, you're even more worried. Because the idea that Donald Trump has a little secret with the guy who might try to interfere with the certification of the vote this time around, that's also a little bit worrying. But Mike Johnson wants you to know that there's nothing untoward going on. Take a look.
What was the secret?
Oh, the secret. Well, there's too many cameras. I can't take it. It's not scandalous, but we're having a ball with this today. The media, their heads are exploding. What is the secret? It's this thing we have about it's a get out the vote. It's one of our tactics on get out the vote. But they're convinced like we've got this like. I called him this morning. I said, Mr. President, should I just like vote? No, Mike. We're just having sport with him, but he just came up with that spontaneously on the stage. I mean, he really does call it our secret, you know what they like, but it's not diabolical.
Yeah, everybody's just being too sensitive in the election immediately following the one where Donald Trump lost and tried to reject the will of the voters and take control of the US government against the law and against the Constitution, and tried to break laws in a whole bunch of states and sent a crowd of lunatics to attack the Capitol and multiple people died. You're all being too sensitive about that sort of thing. And so look, maybe it is get out the vote. I don't know why that would be a little secret. I don't know what that means. It's also possible, and again, maybe I'm being too sensitive, David. It's possible that Trump is referring to something they actually talked about in secret, and Mike Johnson is covering for it right now. And in fact, Donald Trump is doing to Mike Johnson what he did to Mike Pence in the lead up to 2020, and he's hoping that Mike Johnson might be able to steal this thing for him.
A storm is tearing up the digital media industry. Only our audience can save us in these difficult times. Help us reach our goal of 100,000 new members at tyt.com/team.
I don't know. It's impossible to say at this point. What do you make of this, though?
Yeah, I have no idea what they're talking about, but I know what the rest of us are talking about and worried, and that is that somehow if Kamala Harris beats Donald Trump but cannot get to 270 electoral votes because one of the states is contested or whatever it is, that somehow Donald Trump and the Republicans kick this over to the US House, and because there are more Republican-led delegations in the House than Democratic-led delegations, Donald Trump would win. This is out there, and a lot of people, of course, are talking about it and worried about it. I just want to put one thing out there as well, because there's a really crucial thread that came out from Daily Kos. There's this sort of perception that, well, suppose Kamala Harris gets 268 electoral votes and Donald Trump has 264. Donald Trump could still win. It'll go to the House. Well, actually, the language of the Constitution is whoever has the majority of the electors that are counted. So it's not if somehow Kamala Harris doesn't get to 270. If you remove a state, you remove 18 electors, whatever it is, one of the states, you can't count it. If Kamala Harris still has a majority of the electors that are being counted, this cannot go to the US House. But that's an important distinction because there's sort of perception right now in Democratic circles, oh, we got to get to 270 or else it's going to the House. No, it only goes to the House under certain circumstances. And look, we're all going to have to bone up. I have a feeling we're going to have to bone up on this stuff and what the Constitution actually says if the race is close and a state or multiple states are contested with alternative slates of electors. But I don't think we're going to get there, but it's worth talking about it right now.
That is a great point to bear in mind. I would just throw out, to be, I don't know, the person I've become these days, if it does come down to interpreting the language of the Constitution, which body would do that? The Supreme Court, which kind of likes the idea of Trump as king. I agree with you on the literal wording of it. I also think it is under no circumstances acceptable for them to throw out the results of any state. Even if it means we have to take a couple extra days to do a recount or whatever, we can and must count every state, okay? And I have no doubt that they're gonna try to reject the results of one or two, exclusively ones that they think Harris has won. But anyway, we'll see. And by the way, if we take control of the House, then maybe that's even less of a concern. So the answer to all of this is go vote and make sure that she wins by a lot. Swamp the vote, as Donald Trump says. Thanks for watching our video. Did you know that you can support our show by becoming a subscriber? Just click the subscribe button and also ring the bell so that you get notifications when we're live or when we post new content.